Mickela's back, and so is the Doctor in a rip-roaring start to Series 9, The Magician's Apprentice. Hi, Mickela here. Finally. Yes, it is I. Here I am. And don't think for a moment that I'm not racked with guilt and remorse about my prolonged absence. I'm racked with even more guilt about coming back to talk about a damn TV show at a time like this. Europe, convulsed by a refugee crisis. California burning, the Republican presidential nominees outdoing each other in warmongering and xenophobia. The Prime Minister of England alleged to have... No decorous way I can convey what he's alleged to have done. All that's going on, and I show up to talk about a TV show. How shallow am I? Well, I'll show you exactly how shallow I am. I'm going to start this off with a spoiler. A massive, massive spoiler. You are warned. This episode brings the Doctor to the point where he is tempted to kill a child in order to save millions of lives, including the lives of his friends. It's a radical escalation of the temptation the Doctor faces again and again. How far will he go to serve the greater good and still be able to call himself the Doctor? But I'm getting ahead of myself. So follow me back in time, just a short way. Rewind back to Saturday, 20th of September, 2015. Late morning, not even noon where I live, but in London. In London, the sun is already set, the sky is growing dark, and my British friends are settling in to watch the premiere of Doctor Who Series 9, Episode 1, The Magician's Apprentice. Written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Hetty MacDonald. Yes, that's the same team that brought us Blink, an episode that's nearly on everyone's list of favorite episodes. Meanwhile, back in Seattle, it's still the early afternoon, and I see social media crackling with joy, giddy joy, as the UK gets its first look at the season opener. People seem to be blown away by this episode. But I am going to have to wait. Well, I've already seen the prequel and the prologue. Moffat must think a lot of this episode to give it both a prequel and a prologue. So let's talk about those first. Very portentous. Fraught is a good word for it. The Doctor, bathed in orange light, intense conversation with Could I get some orange light? Yeah, good. The Doctor, bathed in orange light, intense conversation with Ohila of the Sisterhood of Karn. An ancient foe is seeking the Doctor, and the Doctor is very reluctant to meet this foe. He says he will, but first he'll need to meditate. Fade out. Cue the internet. Wild speculation. Who might this ancient foe be? Is it somebody we've known? Or some freshly forged foe, newly minted by Stephen Moffat? Internet rumors converged on the name Davros, the evil genius who invented the Daleks. Well, actually, Terry Nation was the genius who invented the Daleks. He was the writer. But Terry Nation created Davros to be the on-screen creator of the Daleks. So I checked the cast list on IMDb. No? Davros is not listed as a character, and neither is Julian Bleach, the actor who played Davros back in the David Tennant era. So maybe it's not Davros. This mini-episode, the Doctor's meditation, is played mainly for comedy, set in medieval England. Here the Doctor is behaving in ways that I relate to, personally. He can't seem to meditate. He does everything possible to postpone the dread meeting, including practicing sleight of hand. Maybe that's why he's the magician, I don't know. If the Doctor's the magician, who's the apprentice? The Doctor being served by a very large man called Bors. Is Bors the apprentice? So the Doctor begins to tell Bors a story, and as he does so, we dissolve to an aerial view of a battlefield shrouded in mist, and we fade out. Okay, eventually evening rolls around to my side of the planet, and I finally get to see what my British friends are buzzing about on Twitter and Facebook. The episode picks right up where the prologue ended, flying over that misty battlefield, and we're off. So here's what I liked about the episode, in no particular order. First, the visuals. Given the bigger budget the show gets these days and the extraordinary advances in CGI, the production team can put on the screen anything the writers dream up. And in this episode, writer Stephen Moffat has dreamed up a feast from that fog-shrouded battlefield strewn with handmines. Not landmines, handmines. Very creepy. I would have gone with jazz handmines, but that's just me. From there, to an Earth where all airplanes suddenly freeze in mid-flight. On to sunny Spain, actually shot on location in sunny Spain, the island of Tenerife to be specific. On to a medieval rave where the Doctor escalates his efforts to evade and avoid his fateful rendezvous. And then he makes a raucous entrance to top a battle tank playing an electric guitar. There's a character called Colony Sarn who turns out actually to be a colony of wriggling snakes. And a planet emerging from a cloak of invisibility, a room full of Daleks from every era of the show, sight gag piled on sight gag on sight gag. A lot of it makes no sense, but it is a giddy spectacle. Number 2, the second thing I love, the dialogue. Moffat not only gave his production teams a delicious set of visuals to whip up, he gave his actors really juicy scenes to play. Peter Capaldi gets to be madcap and zany in the vein of Patrick Troughton and Matt Smith, without ever losing the dark, brooding anger that was his primary color in his first series. He has gravitas even when he's spewing awful, awful punning jokes, which I'm betting Moffat swiped from the reject pile of Evan Edinger. Michelle Gomez, returning as Missy, gets all the best zingers, especially when she's trying to explain to a jealous Clara how tight the bond is between the Master and the Doctor. And then ultimately, there's that crackling confrontation between the Doctor and the ancient foe he can no longer avoid. And 3, the mythology. Moffat continues to mine the long history of the show with references that are both trivial and deep. A sly, subtle reference to the 3 times Atlantis has figured in the show. A visit to the Shadow Proclamation, where we catch what I think is our first glimpse of an Ood in the Moffat era, along with characters from all these past writers. The Doctor's wardrobe even suggests the classic era. His trousers reflect the style of the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton. But most of all, this episode draws on the central mythology of the series. It turns out that the internet was right for a change. The old foe that sought the Doctor is, just as the internet suspected, Davros himself. Davros? Davros? Wait a minute, Mikola, what about the IMDb? Well, I head back and check, and guess what? They have updated the listing. Now Julian Bleach as Davros is in there. See, Moffat's very sneaky. He will do anything to keep his surprises intact, even putting up bogus listings on the IMDb. Even people who guessed that Davros would be in the episode, Moffat still managed to shock us. The way Davros is introduced takes your breath away. Barry Aldrich was gobsmacked, and he is not easily gobsmacked about Doctor Who. He has seen everything. That climactic scene between the Doctor and Davros is intertwined with clips and snips of encounters between Davros and the Doctor's previous incarnations, most pointedly, their first meeting, when Tom Baker's 4th Doctor was sent back in time by the Time Lords to prevent the creation of the Daleks. What else did I like? Well, you may not agree with this, but I was tickled that there was no explanation even attempted for the reappearance of Missy, Davros, and the planet Skaro, even though we've seen them all destroyed in previous episodes. Look, we know monsters and superheroes always survive for a sequel, so why even waste a second of screen time with a cockamamie explanation? Of course, there is a downside to that. It feeds into Moffat's long habit of treating death as simply a temporary inconvenience. See, when you get into the habit of reviving the dead willy-nilly with no explanation, it undermines the awfulness of killing people off. In the cliffhanger, we see 2 of the main characters exterminated. But in a Moffat show, we're trained to see death as just a short time out. So you vaporize your main characters. No biggie, they'll be back. The show ends at the knife edge of the Doctor's dilemma. Will he kill the young Davros to head off future evil, or not? Maybe he'll just snag him and pack him off to the evil baby orphanage. I think it's a safe bet that what we saw at the close of The Magician's Apprentice is meant to deceive us. It's a trick. Something is going on that we won't understand until next week. And whatever it is, whatever the Doctor's up to, I'm curious as to how it will mess with the show's rules about fixed points in time. Until next time, fixed point or not, I'm Mikola. DVD extras. Peter Capaldi with the guitar. Now, we've seen that in the 80s. He was in a punk band with Craig Ferguson, Temple Clark, Roderick Murray, originally called the Bastards from Hell, later the Dream Boys. Prophetic names. Look, the bubble still works. Here. For your listening enjoyment, the Dream Boys with Bela Lugosi's Birthday, Peter Capaldi on guitar and vocals. And over here, bandmates reunited, Peter Capaldi on Craig Ferguson's Late Late Show on CBS. Bye now.